How's it going? My name is David. Welcome back to Kai City RC and welcome to a brief Sandmaster 2.0 update video. If you haven't seen my previous videos on the Sandmaster, there's links in the description below. If you have watched those, then you'll know I've had some issues with the gearbox on my Sandmaster. As time has passed by, more and more people, especially in Japan, are getting a hold of these, and it seems, so far at least, that this is a common problem with the gearbox. Sandmaster 2.0, the gearbox is very noisy. The pinion spur mesh is just too tight and it leads to damaged early wear on the spur gear. So what have I done to remedy it? You've got a couple of options basically. There's probably 3 or 4 different presets for pinion gears. 27 is the largest. You can also install 25, 23 and 21, something like that. No matter which pinion gear you install in the gearbox, they'll all end up being too tight. The mesh will be too tight, there'll be no backlash. So your options are basically you can enlarge the mounting hole so that you can just pull the pinion a little bit further away from the spur and improve the mesh somewhat. The only downside to that is it's a plastic gearbox motor mount. There's not a lot of plastic between one mounting point to another, and you are weakening it, so it's not really ideal, and particularly if you're going to use a high-powered, high-torque motor. The other option, I saw another Japanese YouTuber do, and I've basically just done the same thing, is for example, the 27 tooth mounting holes, install a 26 tooth pinion. And doing that, the mesh is a lot better. It's probably a little bit in the other direction. It's a little bit on a loose side, just a little bit, but it's certainly better than the factory setup, I feel anyway. So that's the options for the pinion and spur. I do recommend you change out the plastic kit spur. Get one of the Kyosho steel pinion ones, or any metal pinion gear. I also picked up a couple of new spurs. Unfortunately, the spur for this particular buggy, the Sandmaster 2.0, is part number EZ211. It's not available at the moment, but the original Sandmaster spur gear is identical, and it's cheaper. They are identical, and so if you can't get the new spur gear, just get the old one. They're actually cheaper, and they are, like I just said, identical. I've picked up 2 of these, and I've noticed both of them are the same. And the one that came in my buggy was also the same. They're not very well molded from the factory. It's going to be really hard to see this on a phone, but I don't know, can you see there? Particularly the edges, they're not clearly defined. They've got some excess plastic. It's going to be really hard to see on the phone, but yeah, I think you can kind of make it out there. It's nothing major, but this may play a part into why the pinion and spur, particularly the spur, failed so quickly after so few battery packs. It's just not really molded that well. And also another problem I found is that the spur gear tends to wobble as it rotates in both directions. So if you look at it side on, it's wobbling left and right. But even worse, if you look at it this way, there's a little bit of play on the bearings, and it actually cycles like that. And so as you rotate it around, you'll actually notice that the mesh goes from being, with the standard setup, the mesh goes from being too tight to just crazily tight. So I think that was another problem as well. Fortunately, there's not really a lot I can do. It's just play, basically. This is a somewhat unique, I think, spur gear, and it's got a hex fitting. Most regular spur gears don't use this fitting, so it might be possible to adapt a normal spur gear, a better quality spur gear for the Sandmaster. That's something I may look into in the future. I've also gone ahead and stripped the rear shocks and put internal spacers in. The reason being, the drive shafts are just running through such an acute angle that they're binding up somewhat. So by putting internal spacers in, I've lowered it down a little. In retrospect, probably could go a little bit more, but I like the fact it's got quite a lot of ground clearance. It means it can go over rougher terrain. Most of my other buggies sit lower, but this sits a lot higher. So I have put a couple of internal spacers. If you are planning to do the same, the shock pistons are actually very, very thick. Much thicker than the standard Tamiya ones, so any of the spacers that you would have for your Tamiya one won't fit. Just a heads up on that. But aside from the gearbox being really noisy, it's, you know, it is what it is. It's an entry-level RTR, but you know, I like the way it drives. It's not got a lot of grip and it's not very fast. Oh, I've also temporarily fitted a GT2 motor that I had lying about. I just want to eliminate, I'm trying to work out what the noise is. I've stripped the gearbox down twice now. There's no problem I can see with the diff. It's got a lot of play in it, but it's not something you can shim very easily. If you do start putting shims in to push the larger bevel gears in, you end up with very notchy diff action. So I've packed it full of grease, and you know, I'm trying one thing at a time, trying to work out what this noise is. So yeah, I honestly don't know. It's a bit of a head scratcher. I mean, it drives fine. It's just on a noisy side. Quite common, so I guess it is what it is. But just in case it was something to do with the motor, I've just swapped the motor out as well. So I'll run this as just one more thing that might be causing the noise. Well, anyway, that's it for this video. I just wanted to get this out because I know several people messaged me and commented that they're planning to get one of these or they've got one on the way. Just a heads up, you'll probably find that there are a few issues with the gearbox, but like, you know, it is what it is. It's a budget RTR, so you kind of expect to have a few issues, but it's just a shame because otherwise it is a good buggy. Handles reasonably well and looks great as well. I really do like the way this thing looks. Well, that's it from me. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.